There are two main schools of shadow work. The second school I break into three categories, so it's easier to say second, third and fourth level shadow work, although all of these levels are of the second school. First level, integrate your shadow. Second level, maintain a healthy amount of shadow to generate power. Third level, develop purity of heart. Fourth level, working in the collective consciousness. The first school is to love, integrate and heal our shadows, turning darkness into light. This is the more mainstream approach. And for many people, shadow work stops here. The second approach, school or level of shadow work, often creates negative reactions, as it is teaching us to maintain a healthy amount of shadow which we draw power from. Third level shadow work is about developing purity of heart and should never be taken lightly. And fourth level shadow work is in the realms of the collective consciousness. In all shadow work, we are trying to make the unconscious conscious, reducing the veil between our subconscious and conscious mind and also our higher self. As we reduce the barrier between the subconscious and conscious mind, communication with ourselves changes. We understand ourselves better, the reality and the matrix that we live in, the nature of time, and we are likely to become more psychic. Meditation helps with this too, but shadow work takes the fear of who we truly are away, while transforming the parts of ourselves that we may be afraid of. Listening to our intuition means allowing more encompassing and higher parts of ourselves to teach and guide us. Shadow work supports this process by teaching us not to be afraid of our lower self, but to make it healthy and integrated. Second and third level shadow work are related and interchangeable, and fourth level shadow work happens in the collective consciousness. You don't need to work up through the levels as in 1, 2, 3 and 4. You just need to trust yourself to apply what is best at any given time. Fourth level shadow work is teaching us compassion, how to better understand others, the pain that drove them to make the bad choices and mistakes that they did, and some of their soul and life lessons that lay beyond their pain. Fourth level shadow work teaches us oneness and non-separation beyond the mental concept and starts to give us an embodied understanding and true knowledge, unexplainable knowledge as to what oneness is. Working in the collective consciousness is also a great way to learn more about and develop ourselves, reducing our ego and coming to understand more of how reality is created. Shadow work in general teaches us to appreciate paradoxical situations and find wisdom within them, and to live our life from a multidimensional perspective with a non-dual mind that is committed to both evolution and balance. By always focusing on evolution and balance together in shadow work, we remain safe, with the polarity framework being a useful mental guide or map for managing evolution in a balanced way. The polarity framework teaches us to use polarity with duality in order to suffer less and to ensure that when we do suffer, that we evolve, eventually changing our relationship with suffering entirely through developing a non-dual mind. To deny suffering completely or to be afraid of suffering is foolish. Our rejection of suffering will make us suffer. Our attachment to suffering will make us suffer, and even our non-attachment to suffering can work out badly, as until we are living in an enlightened Buddha-like state, non-attachment to our suffering is very often the rejection of our suffering. To be happy, we actually need all three: rejection, attachment, and non-attachment to our suffering. Remembering that Bodhidharma teaches our body non-attachment to suffering. None of them are right and none of them are wrong. It's just about looking at how and when we apply each: attachment, rejection, and non-attachment, and still being fluid with no hard and fast rules. One of the hardest parts of maintaining an open Kundalini is looking at our shadows to keep alignment between our heart, mind, and sex. We cannot have any resistance to our desires on any level. But the truth is that we often have resistance, and if we always resist a certain part of ourselves, what we judge as bad and deem to be incorrect, then our energy becomes stuck and stagnant. So when we are in a stuck place, often doing the wrong thing becomes the right thing. The shadow work chapters in the book, Masculine and Feminine Polarity Work, include some basic history through Jungian psychology. You could call Carl Jung the godfather of shadow work psychology, who I would say was more of a mainstream mystic. Thus, some people prefer Sigmund Freud's work over Jung's. The book is a good introduction to the controversial approach to shadow work taken in this course and my work. In this course, we focus on shadow work in relation to non-dual psychology and in support of our intention through Kundalini bodywork practices.